All right. Yeah, once again, thank you for joining as well with different regions. And a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And we're really thankful for all the kickoff speakers, the leaders across the Salesforce, where they have taken the time and joined each other to give a lot of momentum for us to start the session. There are quite few housekeeping rules. So during the session, you could leverage the chat box to ask your questions and answers. And whenever our super speaker Vlad has a time, so probably is going to answer those questions. And after that, pause the session. If you feel ask a lot of questions, you can scan the QR code here, or you could use the link to pose the question. So we have a Google form. You could just ask your question in the Google form. So later point of time, we can go and then reply those questions. And after the session, we have a YouTube session. We have a YouTube channel where we can uploading all our recording sessions. You could scan this QR code of recording of YouTube channel, and you could join as well, so that you'll get a notification whenever we upload a new recording. But not last but not least, we have our Trailblazer community, Salesforce Singapore Marketers, and you can sign up for future sessions as well. You could just leverage the QR code for looking at the next 70 plus sessions. So today we're going to post some more sessions across CDP and personalization, and CDP is going to kickstart from Feb 15th onwards with the 14 sessions across the CDP. Along with, we have another sessions running at Marketing Cloud as well. Thank you. So today we have our first episode. We're going to kickstart with Marketing Cloud product overview. So we'll start with introductions and who we are and who are all our kickoff speakers and why this initiative. And our kickoff speakers will explain what are the benefits of Marketing Cloud and what are all the initiatives we are taking care in the next couple of years. What are all the benefits? And we will discuss about our next session details. And at the end of the session, don't go anywhere. We have a quiz. There is a quiz where we're conducting how much you learned from this session. So the winner will get a certification voucher where he can leverage the skills of marketing, where we can leverage the skills of our sessions and then get certified in Marketing Cloud. So here we are, organizing team. So we put a lot of effort in terms of bringing all the content together for all our trailblazers. So we have Abhishek Nagar, Vishal, Prashant, and myself. So we've grouped together and then bring all the sessions where Vishal, Prashant, and Abhishek have spent a lot of time to reach out to the speakers, and then they have spent a lot of time for uh, designing the banners, collecting the photos for each and every speaker. So we were really thankful, and I was really thankful for all of them. Uh, I can't enough to thank him. So let's go to the next session. So let me introduce myself. Myself, Anindra. I'm a Chief Technology Evangelist with Apistoki. So I'm a AWS Enterprise Architect in Salesforce. I'm a group leader managing Marketers Group and Slack Chapter Group. And I'm a Salesforce Marketing Champion uh, with our Program Director here, Guilda. And I'm a 37 times Salesforce certified. And I'm a MuleSoft Industry Champion. I have my blog, fanindraargichatta.com. So I'll request my other speakers to introduce themselves. So go ahead, Vishal.
Uh, Hi everyone, my name is Vishal Chapla. I have two Salesforce certifications, Marketing Cloud Specialist and Marketing Cloud Developer, and currently I'm working as a Senior CRM Manager, Jellyfish Singapore, and that's my LinkedIn profile. Happy to connect. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vishal. Thank you, Vishal. I'll quickly introduce Prashant to our audience for 1 minute.
Okay, hi guys, Prashant Vardhan. My name is Prashant Vardhan. I work as a technical lead. I'm a 15 time Salesforce certified consultant. I'm also community group leader for Pardot. I'm a trailhead mentor and I'm also MuleSoft certified as well. You can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn with the tags mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. So we have Abhishek. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Vivek Nagar and I am Salesforce Success certified and I'm working as a Salesforce Marketing Cloud specialist. Respect. and here is my LinkedIn profile. Happy to connect all of with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you. So we have done our organizers introduction. So we have a lot of our kickoff speakers, and unfortunately, Sujith and Vivek and William. So they're all traveling, and they send us a warm greetings for us to successfully start the session. Along with us, we have our great speakers and great leaders as well. So I would love for like Megan to introduce herself. Go ahead, Megan. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much for having me. And this is so exciting, all the work that you're putting into all these sessions and the boot camp, not to be confused with our version of boot camp. It's a different boot camp. So when I first read it, I was like, what boot camp? Because we have the Trailhead Academy boot camp. But for those that don't know me, I work on Team Trailblazer here at Salesforce and am kind of the honorary community member out here in the APAC region. Based in Sydney, Australia. I have been at Salesforce for 15 years, if you can believe that. Obviously, I started when I was 10. You were talking about your certifications. I have 7 certifications, and one of them is the Marketing Cloud Email Specialist. So there you go. I even have a Marketing Cloud certification, so I feel like I can represent a little bit. This is a quick 6 about how to introduce myself to you so you can get to know me a little bit better. Because I do want to just say I'm not here for very long. I'm not talking for very long. And there's a lot of very smart people that will share much more important things with you. But if anyone wants to reach out to me as kind of a community representative in the region, if there's anything I can help with, support, please don't hesitate to reach out. I've already said my name, Megan Petersen. I was born in Newcastle, Australia. Back to the previous slide. I love my family. What do? I engage and inspire trailblazers. My core values are integrity, passion, and impact. And something surprising about myself, I actually play and coach basketball. So there's a little bit about me. And to get you kind of hyped up and excited about what's to come, I happened to be on Twitter this morning, and the next slide, Mr. Mark Benioff himself tweeted out, look at this. Looks like Salesforce Marketing Cloud is the real MVP when it comes to ROI. So a recent study showed a 299% return on investment over 3 years. That's like winning the Super Bowl, World Series, and World Cup all at once. So go check out that tweet, give it a like. But I feel like Mark must be with us right now as we kick off all this Marketing Cloud learning. And he was trying to, send his regards for a really awesome boot camp. So if there's anything I do, at Megan P Tweets on Twitter, you can find me on LinkedIn. Megan Petersen 1, I think, is my LinkedIn extension there. And best of luck with all these boot camps and all the learning. And I hope it's a wonderful experience. Congratulations to the organizing crew.
Thank you so much, Megan, and thank you so much for sharing us all these details. And this post will definitely kick up or boost us our organizers or as well as our attendees to learn something big in Marketing Cloud for the next 7 months.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Megan. Once again, thank you for
No
joining.
worries.
So next we have our own Guilda. So she is like a director and a product marketing, and we don't have any introduction, but we'll ask her to introduce herself and then give some details about our groups. Go ahead, Guilda. Thank you.
I don't have a slide, Megan, but I'm gonna try to.
Okay.
Mine's is exciting. Hi, everyone. My name is Guilda Hilaire, Director of Product Marketing at Salesforce, and I lead the Amazing Marketing Champions program. I am thrilled to be here. A little bit about me. I've been in the ecosystem for over 20 years. So my entire professional career has focused on all things email marketing, diving into what we now call Marketing Cloud, which used to be Exact Target. One thing though, my journey in the ecosystem is complicated, and complicated in a good way because of the many opportunities that exist in the Marketing Cloud. And over the next couple of sessions, I really challenge you guys to think beyond what you're going to be shown, because Marketing Cloud is not just a tool. I've heard that about my entire 20 years. It's a tool. Well, it's not just a tool. It's not a hammer. It's not a screwdriver. Marketing Cloud is just for email marketers. Well, that's incorrect. Maybe 20 years ago when I first started, it was for email marketers. It's not anymore. Marketing Cloud is just a plain system. You just build an email, you send. That's also incorrect. Marketing Cloud is not just for email marketers. It's not just a plain old tool that you build an email and you send. Marketing Cloud is for Salesforce, it's for developers, it's for admins, it's for marketers, it's for data science, data architects, and it's even for strategists and designers. It is the platform that can single-handedly, and I promise you, as you learn over the next couple of weeks, that could single-handedly open the doors for many, many opportunities. So as you go through this session, which I'm so glad this team have pulled together, I really challenge all of you to ask questions. I challenge you to take everything that you're learning and apply it day to day, because you as well will also see all the amazing things that it's done for my journey. It could do the same thing for your journey. Thank you all for having me, and I'm so excited all of you are able to join. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Guilda, for giving your valuable insights on Marketing Cloud. At the same time, thank you so much for joining with us. It's early morning, of course. That shows us your passion towards our community. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
So we have our next speaker, Shibu, and again, we don't need any introduction for Shibu, and he's one of the best. He's one of the best trailblazers that what I've met. So I'll request Shibu to give her introduction and then share some valuable insights on our bootcamp.
Sure. Thank you, Fanny. And like Megan, I don't have any slides, so just this one. I'll just keep it very quick and short. So thank you everyone, for coming to this kickoff session for this amazing bootcamp series that Fanny and team have organized. It's awesome to see that a lot of people have actually expressed interest in learning Marketing Cloud. A little about myself for those who don't know me. I'm actually based out of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for a little over 15 years now. I am with a partner called UST, looking at APAC operations here. I'm one of the Salesforce MVPs in the region, along with the marketing champion. I do have a lot of passion for Marketing Cloud and other products in Salesforce too, but a little more towards Marketing Cloud, I would say. So, been partnering in crime with most of our leaders here, in raising multiple events across the region as well. So in terms of this this boot camps, we've had a number of boot camps in the past. So some of you probably have seen, we have had certification oriented ones. Some of them are focused on specific areas, but it keeps growing. Because the platform keeps expanding, we keep hearing new products being added, new features, new releases. So you always need to keep yourself updated with what's new out there. Plus, there's a lot of demand right now for folks who have SFMC knowledge, Marketing Cloud knowledge. So this is one of a great initiative, I would say. We have a great number of sessions. I think expanding over a few months probably. So I would say go for it. Definitely take this opportunity. Listen to some of our awesome speakers. The speakers lineup is great. All of our community experts are there. One of my favorite persons is actually speaking today, so that's Vlad. So I always love to hear what he has to say on Marketing Cloud. So I look forward to this amazing sessions ahead, and wish all of you a great learning experience on the platform, and a wonderful initiative to the organizing team as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Shibu, for your valuable comments, and would really see some of your sessions as well in the next upcoming lineup. I'll definitely reach out to you for quite a few other sessions in April or May for 1 or 2 sessions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Shibu. Thank you so much. So we have our next, and we have our Tomur. So he's the Director of Solution Engineering in Marketing Cloud in Singapore. And he's one of the best in terms of solutioning in Marketing Cloud, especially of the product knowledge and what he has gained so far. And I would request Tomur to have some words about yourself and have a session as well. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. Greetings from the Singapore Salesforce office behind me. So as you can see from the slide up here, Salesforce for about 8.5 years ago when I had, I want to say maybe only 3 at time it's really remarkable to see the rocket ship ride that Salesforce has been on for the past 8.5 years, and the growth that we continue to see and invest in. Salesforce, as we've probably seen from Salesforce out in the market, we're the number one for marketing campaign management, marketing suites, B2B marketing automation I saw recently, et cetera, and the list goes on. Salesforce is a market leader in all these various respects, and I think I saw was that the Salesforce economy as a whole is going to create, I think, over 9 million jobs and over 1 trillion in the next 3 to 4 years. So this is an amazing ecosystem and culture, community to really be a part of. I think if you've been keeping track of some of the latest innovations in regards of the marketing cloud space, certain things that we announced at our recent Dreamforce event, things like Genie, which is the underlying platform that came out of a lot of the innovations that we've been building out in-house on, say, for example, CDP, or the customer data platform, the fastest growing organic solution that we've ever released from Salesforce. This is a very, very exciting time to be with and associated through Salesforce. I'm glad to meet you all virtually online here, and I'm very excited to be a part of this Trailblazer community.
Thank you so much, Tomur, for giving us valuable insights on Marketing Cloud, and this definitely bumps up our entire audience to learn something big in the next couple of sessions. Thank you once again for joining with us, and we'll keep you posted on our entire sessions. Thank you.
Yeah.
So very last, so I'm going to hand it over to Vlad. Vlad is our super speaker today, and one of the best person to know for, and one of the great trailblazer that what I met for in my entire career of experience. So I would request Vlad to share his screen and then start. And entire time is yours, Vlad, for the next 1 hour. Thank you.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Let's switch the keys. So thank you, welcome everyone, and I guess thank you very much for having me in the session to start it off. It's a big honor, and I'm grateful for an opportunity to kind of talk to all of you today and share some of the knowledge and experience around Marketing Cloud and give you a bit of an introduction into the platform. Similar to everyone, I guess a few words about myself. If you don't know me, I've been in the ecosystem for 9 and a bit years. I actually come from a development background, and I joined ExactTarget at the time when it was acquired by Salesforce. So my marketing kind of transitioned from sort of pure play software development into more or less digital marketing and consulting sort of type of nature of the business, because I joined professional services. It's been a really, really interesting for me, but I think a lot of the sort of reflection back helps me to help others navigate the world of marketing, because I've been in their shoes once. I came to that industry without prior sort of experience and knowledge, and I have a firm belief that if I can do that, then anyone else should be able to do that. And therefore, these type of series and sessions and boot camps that you're part of right now are there amazing opportunities for you to learn, especially if you feel curious and interested about that space. So I've been around for, as I said, 9 years. I've started as a professional services as a solution architect, and with the time, I think about 3.5 years in, I transitioned into our alliances side of the business. And what it means is I kind of shifted my gears to work with our consulting and implementing partners. And I'm still part of that group today. Right now, I'm in the team that's called Cloud Solution Alliances, and our focus is technical ecosystem enablement. So in simple kind of terms, to explain it, we sort of are subject matter experts across different product lines, work closely with the product team, with our solution engineering team, with our success architects, and a lot of other folks internally, as well as partners, to build up the learning experiences for them. My focus in the last few years have been shifted from pure play marketing cloud into more of a CDP domain. As Tomur mentioned, it's one of our fastest growing products organically, and it did require a lot of attention. So we had a very small team, but it was a great fun ride. I used to lead partner enablement efforts for APAC region, and these days it's a bit more global focus, because it's more of kind of really focusing on the scalable enablement programs. All right. With that, I'm gonna quickly get into the actual presentation. There's quite a few things to go through. And once again, just want to reiterate, I'm grateful for an opportunity to speak with you, but at the same time, I'm grateful for each and every one of you spending your time dedicating your, spare hours into virtual experience. Nonetheless, you're still kind of coming here to learn and kind of explore, I guess, new product, new functionality, and see if it sort of makes sense from the career perspective, from personal perspective, I guess, different reasons. So thank you for doing that, because without more individuals, we're going to be struggling going forward. It's a really great place to be, and if you ever need a bit of a impromptu version of kind of inspiring you on what to do in Marketing Cloud, I'm always here to help with that, because it's something I feel really passionate about. We've done the introduction, so I really kind of want to go through and do an overview of different platform capabilities. As Guilda said, it's not a simple product. It's not just one product line. It's not just an email marketing platform. It's not just a simple tool that sends emails without brains. We've got quite a lot of product innovations. We've got a lot of different sort of technologies embedded into what we now refer to as a Marketing Cloud, and hopefully kind of set the road for all the upcoming sessions, to give you a bit of more understanding, ideally by the end of today, to kind of say, okay, these are so many different things that make Marketing Cloud, and if you can recall at least few of them, then it's a benefit and it's a bonus of that. I do want to touch quickly on some of the learning resources that we've got available for you, and then we'll open up for Q&A before transitioning back into, as Fanny said, there'll be a bit of a quiz to win some prizes. And without any further ado, I think the starting slide is not necessarily just the product itself, but it's one of the things I do tend to talk a lot with individuals. From my experience, from just observing that and trying to simplify when people get introduced into marketing itself, into marketing domain, I find that if you think about marketing, all you do within the marketing is really kind of focused around these three core pillars, as I refer to them. It starts with data, something that we've got a lot of today, and we do want to help marketers to make sense of. And therefore, if you are one of the marketers directly, or if you are one of the people who's sort of consulting or helping people to operate their marketing activities, I'm sure that you know that this is a very common thing, is like getting your data right is one of the key core foundation of success altogether. The data itself is useless if you don't do anything with that. So we kind of tend to talk about the content and personalization. So we kind of start talking about using the data to create very personalized, very relevant communications and conversations across varieties of different channels. And these channels are the ones that we tend to think of: email, web experiences, mobile experiences, SMS messages, and so forth. So plenty of these different things. So data, in essence, coupled up with content, is ultimately creating what I refer to as experience. And it could be an outbound campaign, it could be the messages that we send out, it could be web pages that you interact with, mobile applications, so varieties of these different things. But the experience itself is, it's not stale. So you need to think about, how do you orchestrate that? How do you connect different touch points of interactions of people across together? So as I go through and talk about all of these different products, it might help if you think about where do they sort of fit in terms of application and what specifically they do. So here we go. Salesforce is a big platform, and it has a lot of business line applications that focus on different domains. And marketing is kind of like I treat today is more of a domain of expertise, where you've got varieties of different products in portfolio that enable sort of execution and orchestration and management of all of these different activities. So we've got 5 core, I guess, product lines that we're breaking it down. We start with data, as I said, so customer data platform that is powered by Genie. Then we've got the Marketing Cloud personalization. It's ability for us, and I'll talk as we go through them, but in high level, it's ability for us to present different content, different experience for people based on the data that we know about them. Engagement is the ability for communicating with individuals and masses. And in essence, this is that email message that we send out. This is the SMS message, that's the push notification, and any other communication and conversation type that we have in place. And another part of that extension, I guess, of that engagement is account engagement. And something that you might be familiar if you've been part of that group. We used to call it Pardot, and reasonably recently renamed that to become account engagement. And then lastly is intelligence. And that's everything to do with understanding success of any marketing activity that you would be executing, and kind of trying to understand what works, what doesn't, what you need to optimize, where it would make more sense to invest versus less sense to invest, and so forth. So these are the core components, I guess, of the Marketing Cloud product suite or family of products. But if we break it down even a bit more, and if we start looking into what actually sits underneath every single one of these particular pillars, then we start looking into a bit more details. And again, I'm not going to call specifically on that slide every single product line, but essentially it's the focus around data that allows us to think about how do we take the data across the entire company, across the entire enterprise, if it comes from Salesforce CRM, if it comes from commerce products, if it comes from sales products, if it comes up from different integrations, we bring it all together and make sense of that. We want to try to build up that 360 degree single customer profile view. And we've produced that product. We built it up a few years ago, customer data platform that's effectively is now a leadership flagship product that sort of is meant to be used when you're building up and working with huge data across the enterprise. The engagement and personalization, they really come together, because once we start communicating, once we start sort of making sense of data, defining the audiences, targeting people, and start communicating with them, we want to make sure that every single message is relevant. It represents something unique to every individual. And personalization is a layer that helps us to really focus on that and hone all the data that we haven't stored to make the best message sort of adjustments on the fly for every single individual, regardless of the channel that we use. And as I said before, intelligence is really kind of understanding of the impact, understanding of the progression, activities, and so forth. So you look into collating data from varieties of sources. Because if you think about all of the advertising, all of the marketing messages, all of the web experience and interactions, we can collate all of the data, build it into the customer data platform. But then at the same time, there are additional reports, dashboards that we want to see and visualize. And that's sort of something that intelligence helps us with. So we kind of connect all these data points together, and we start visualizing the entire customer experience. We start seeing the analytics. We start understanding and figuring out what else we need to be doing or can be doing, where the opportunity lies for the businesses altogether. So I'll start going through every single product line and talk a little bit more about them, and hopefully give you a bit of an understanding. With some of them, I'll go with a bit of a background to explain, similar to what when we started with CDP, for example, we start looking into what actually is the business need. So Marketing Cloud itself, we started with ability to define your own data model, and there is an opportunity to work with data directly within the Marketing Cloud suite itself. But we realized that within the company, when you look into sort of broadly within the enterprise, you see that data that exists in marketing is not necessarily fully connected to data that exists in commerce domain or service domain or sales domain or interactions across community, social, advertising, and so forth. And in essence, we ended up with a good model in different places, but they're not unified. They're not really connected together. And similar to that example that you see on the screen is you've got an individual with magnitude of different data points that represent the exact same person, but they're just different pieces of information that are available across the enterprise. And you can see the figure that it speaks highly, right? It's a huge number of data sources that the company on average would be working on with today. So when we look at that as a problem statement, we go, well, how do we solve that? And from our perspective, that's what we aim to address. So we launched in October 2019 the product that we called Salesforce Customer Data Platform. And it was our initial attempt to build up that, almost like a tool that allows us to really work within the data layer. More broadly, it doesn't limit us to only data within the Salesforce. It really is an opportunity for us to open up the data that sits across different domains within the enterprises and connect it all together. So we've been running it for almost like 2 years. We've got quite a lot of customers implementing that. We can see some of the big numbers in terms of how many records we process on any given day. It's a very scalable, high throughput system that really is designed for B2C kind of world where there's millions and billions of data points that are coming up on a daily basis, and we want to be able to enable customers and users to handle that and connect it all together. So some of our initial customers helped us to shape the product and form it into what's going to be coming up next. And at the Dreamforce in September last year now, we essentially launched a slight variation of that. So what we looked into, the customer data platform is the definition that traditionally more familiar for marketers, but our intention was to always build a data platform, and therefore the customer data platform was initial view of that, but the essential services that power up that customer data platform have now been integrated into entire Salesforce platform and referred to as the Genie. So what it provides us is an opportunity to really think through at the entire Salesforce platform product suite, an opportunity to work with data at the high volume, at the high speed, and be able to connect it all, unify it, make sense of that, and effectively work, whether you're a marketer, whether you're a sales manager, service manager. So there's plenty of different types of applications, but for us, because we're in marketing space here today, at least the opportunity is really to rethink how we approach segmentation, how we approach unification, which is really recognition of different people beyond varieties of data points, and target them through marketing activities. So kind of really be smart about segmentation, make it easy for users, and really scale it up across the enterprise. So that's something that we sort of brought up into marketing space. Today, the product is referred to as a customer data platform powered by Genie. Now, this name may or may not change, but for now, this is what it is. And in essence, it's an opportunity for us to collect the data from magnitude of different sources, unify, harmonize that, and then provide ability to act and target individuals based on segments criteria that we need to be able to define. So a few functions that you will see when we start talking about that is it's kind of like transitioning across all of these different pillars. And if I think about marketing today, even though it's sort of this representation might potentially build up majority of what the customer data platform does or the Genie platform will enable, but in essence, if you think about marketing, and remember like 3 core pillars I was talking about, once you get the data into the platform, once you make sense of that and effectively model it out, harmonize it, unify it, so you can see individual human beings behind the data points, then the action comes into play. So that's where the point of engagement, experiences, and content comes into the mix. So you can see that on the right-hand side where we've got that data activation and kind of falling into that real-time personalized content, that's in essence taking all other tools into play and start communication with individuals and really be smart, be intelligent, be personal in terms of what do we send to them, which channels do we use, and when they reach out to us, when they come to websites, when they go to e-commerce storefronts, there's always a personalized message attached to that. So we've really been smart in the way we communicate and convey with individuals. And at the bottom of that sort of chart, you can see that the lines are going back into the data, but they go through a few blocks there. It's important point because that's really where that intelligence comes into play. That's where we take the results, take the data, the original source data, take the results of our activities and analyze and understand like what worked, what didn't, as I said before. So it's a simplified kind of perspective of what sort of the marketing cycle looks like. And today, if you think about that, that's almost like an indefinite loop where doesn't matter when you start with that, at some point in time, you'll need some kind of audience to put into the system. You need to be able to target that audience. And then once you start sending communications, you want to be able to analyze what you sent, what the response was, and whether or not it helped businesses to convey and convert and sell more services, sell more products, and deliver better customer experiences altogether. So if you look into quick functional sort of, overview of what the customer data platform provides, its ability to connect varieties of different data sources. There are native connectors to pretty much the entire family of Salesforce products, as well as ability to use API and integrate through our MuleSoft offering. So plenty of options to bring the data into place. Once we bring the data into the platform, then we've got the ability to model and map it into unified data language, if you think about that, essentially saying that for every marketer who uses the customer data platform for their segmentation, they have a single sort of standard language dictionary that they need to understand and learn. And after that's done, they can reuse it quite easily. And from the implementation standpoint of view, it makes it easy because it doesn't matter where the data comes from. We kind of unified it and expose it through the very single view. Once the data is mapped and connected, we can then resolve individuals. So we can look into multiple variations of me that exist across different data points within the company, and then define the rules and use some of the intelligence within the platform to essentially say like, oh, do all of these 5 different data points represent Vlad? Yes or no? And if they do, that's great. I want to be able then to target Vlad specifically as an individual using any data that is connected to any of my profiles. It's fantastic, really a fantastic opportunity for marketers to start thinking about how do they define just segments and think about profiles and think about number of potential people they can reach out, is actually switching gears to targeting individuals and people. The targeting means we defining segments. So basically what we go up, we define criteria, we use drag and drop intuitive interface. As I said, very easy to understand data language. So all the attributes are exposed in a very simple way. You go through the tree on the screen, choose the attribute, drag it, define criteria if it needs to have a certain values, combine some of these criteria combinations, and then create a segment. So that's a really, really easy flow. It was designed to be user-friendly, and from a marketing standpoint of view, gone are the days when you need to think about writing an SQL or working up with a bunch of different formulas in the spreadsheets because you want to be able to select this particular audience. It's really easy and intuitive interface to use. And then once we've got the segment, then we want to be able to, as I said, activate that. So essentially saying, let's publish that audience and start ingesting them into marketing conversations. So when we start talking about like journey builder, it's injecting people into the marketing journeys. You want to be able potentially target them through personalization experiences. Essentially think about coming to the website and having a specific offer or slightly different version of the website presented to you, because we established that you've been a returning visitor and you've seen different types of products within our portfolio. So we want to customize the look and feel of the website based on your previous interactions. And then insights is ability to channel the data that we have into analytical tools, as well as expose some of the data points within the segmentation layer as well to make it a bit more useful. All right, so the data is in a place, the data is in the platform. If you're using customer data platform, that's great. We define the audiences. Now, as I said, let's move into the personalization. So the initial product name for personalization was Interaction Studio. And the reason I bring it up is because I still know that there are quite a few people across the world referring to that as Interaction Studio. It is known as a Marketing Cloud personalization officially, and it's our tool that allows us to optimize marketing experiences across different channels in real time. So think of that as like it gets as close as it gets to real-time one-to-one personalization, because every single individual, when it interacts through experience with the platform, is being treated at one-to-one level, and the system provides response on what the next best offer or action or experience should look like within 30 milliseconds. Super powerful tool. I do love that product as part of the portfolio. I think it provides fantastic opportunity when you start thinking about implications. How do you change and influence customer experiences when they interact with the different digital properties? So like the websites, as I said, the e-commerce storefronts. Think about mobile applications. If you're going up and trying to navigate through a particular app for the first time versus coming back as a returning customer. And because system knows why, like one of the reasons why you might be looking through the app, it can actually customize the entire click path for you. So instead of going through maybe 7 or 8 screens, you actually can be taken to the place where you need to be in 3 or 4. So it makes it easier for you, makes it more relevant. And at the same time, it knows who you are. It remembers what you've been looking at, and it brings up something that is really valuable to you. The power of the tool is ability to do truly marketing experimentation. We've got A/B testing, like AI is infused into the tool. So there's a lot of automated recommendations, but in addition to that, you've got these a bit more controllable elements where you can test the experience. So think about creating 2 different versions of the website or offer on the website, and then looking into audiences coming in, interacting with that particular banner or product pop-up or something like that, and then trying to think through which one yields more results. So which one makes a bit more sense to use long term. So the system provides tools in order to construct it, to define the rules and criteria for that, and effectively being able to kind of define what makes sense if you're experimenting, if you're trying to kind of figure out what the actual customer experience should look like. The overall point, an additional point to all of that is, besides just personalization, we actually want to make sure that the experience, regardless of the channel of your choice, is the same. So if the person is navigating through the website, or they receive an email, or if they go up and interact with something like an ATM at the bank, we want to make sure that the offers, the message, the experiences are consistent across all these different channels. And I think that, to me personally, that was one of the really big attractors when we acquired that tool and start sort of building up into the marketing workflow. And when you think about how we do that, so ability for the product to work is it listens up for a lot of the different experiences and data points. It collects the data in real time, whether it's a website, whether it's open up and interacting with email messages and so forth. It makes an understanding of that and really puts it through the decisioning engine. And as I said, this is really powerful because it provides response at one-to-one level under 30 milliseconds. And then once we know that, then it starts connecting the dots together. And again, the power of being able to act on the data and sort of apply these different decisions. If you interacted with the website, you went through the product, you look into maybe, I don't know, like specifically like credit card, for example, different types of credit cards. And then you go up on your mobile app for the same banking application, it would know that you've been, 5 minutes ago looking at the website and going through the credit card offers. So therefore, you might actually see an offer to say, hey, how about you look into that specific type of the credit card that might be relevant to you. So that type of experience that sort of applied across different channels is really, really powerful. And if you think about all of the different strengths, for me, is that a few things that I do highlight out of that list is it's truly real time. It's really AI driven. There's enough machine learning that applied throughout the entire tool that really drives that entire consistent across the channel personalized experience for customers. Right. The personalization was part of what I was sort of referring to and talking about as an engagement layer. So once you start talking about the engagement, that's really where that traditional sort of historical marketing cloud comes into play. So we evolved from being, maybe as Guilda said, 20 odd years ago as being just an email tool to significantly more powerful marketing automation tool. And it's not a single tool. There's a whole suite of products that support our users and customers with the way they orchestrate the marketing experiences. So the flagship is Journey Builder, one of the products that I certainly find very useful and very visual. And to me, because marketers are very visual people, it's very easy to use, very easy to comprehend, very easy to see. Like there's not much to say. It's a visual canvas that helps you see and orchestrate effectively the customer experience. You define a starting point, what triggers a specific marketing experience for an individual, and then what the workflow would look like. And the elements of the workflow include things like smart decisions based on data, messaging across different channels. You can be thinking about updating data. You can be creating cases. So plethora of different tools and things that are embedded into that tool. But on the surface, very easy to use, very easy to see. On the back end, just a little bit of a technical knowledge to understand how things come together, and kind of refers back to that point, connecting the data with content and orchestrating that into the experience. And that's the beauty of that tool. Interesting. So slide didn't seem to load up. The email and mobile messaging. So think about Marketing Cloud is, oh, there we go. Just maybe it's a bit of a speed. So it's a tool that provides ability to work across multiple channels, native tools that we have enabled. You've got email conversations, you've got SMS conversations, you've got mobile push conversations, you've got a few more integrations that I'm going to talk about. We've got tools like Content Builder that enables us to create and store and manage the content within the platform. So when you talk about email templates, when you talk about images, when you think about creating web pages and mobile experiences, and potentially reusing a lot of these elements across the channels, it's the power of the platform that sort of brings up and shines through. Once you start creating an experience, you kind of store it in the platform, and you start configuring the final elements of that, whether it's an email message, whether it's an SMS, whether it's a a website, you can reuse the same blocks over and over and over. So it's really nice way and easy way to optimize the delivery, and provides all the necessary tools to really manage all the content and all the sort of experience within a singular platform. One of the innovations within the email studio that we experimenting more and more, it does have a certain limitations based on the email clients. But if you think about, number of people who use mobile devices versus desktops, those who use more modern email clients versus some of the older ones, the ability for us to use interactive emails. So think about message where you open up an email, and Google is sort of like an example of that. If you ever received Google conversations and within the Gmail inbox, you would see that some messages almost like completely differently rendered. If the calendar invite would be an example, if you ever make a purchase of the ticket, for example, for an airplane, then you would see that the Google will extract that information and present it like with a box with some visuals and so forth. For us, we took it into a slightly different perspective. We actually embedded ability for collecting the data through the message. So we can actually ask people, to update their profile or complete the transaction right within the inbox without going outside of it. And I find that it's innovative. It's different. It certainly is one of those marketing elements of delight and surprise. And if there's a chance that you ever play with that, I would certainly encourage you to experiment and explore. It's really, really cool toolkit. All right, the channel. So as I said before, we've got SMS, we've got email in place, and you've got an opportunity to build mobile optimized experiences. I think one of the really great things I find within our toolkit is we've done so much thinking for end users, for marketers. And if you're ever starting up from scratch, you usually would work with a creative agency of a kind, someone who would be helping you to build up templates, to build creative, to put it all together. But the platform has a lot of starting points. You'd be surprised if you spend maybe a day or two purposely exploring the platform, playing up with all of these different tools that are embedded into the different studios. You'd find yourself creating very well-designed, mobile optimized experiences without much of the trouble. So it does need a bit of thinking. It certainly is, it's not at the age where you might be able to type it into the chat and say, hey, can you build me that particular email, and it has to scale across all the different devices. But it's quite close in the sense of the platform does a lot of heavy work for you. And then, as I mentioned before, besides the fact that you can use the mobile optimized experience across email and maybe web, you can as well include the components of that creative assets and messages into mobile applications. If you need to embed it into the SMS messages, you can certainly do that. And a lot of countries, we support two-way conversation. It's essentially kind of like a chat like through SMS. And integration with chats. We've got Line, we've got a few others that you can integrate with, and more importantly, a recent announcement that we making available conversations through the WhatsApp, because that's one of the largest communities across the globe, and it makes sense for us to start looking into how do we integrate conversations across WhatsApp into the marketing experiences orchestration. So we're connecting it with data. We take that data points from customer data platform, we kind of surface it up into Marketing Cloud, and then once you start conversations across, within the journeys, and part of that messaging could be WhatsApp platform. That's great. We want to ensure that every single piece of the content is taking advantage of data that we have around individuals and making it personalized and relevant for them. The other sort of channel, it's not usual to say it and refer to it as a channel, but advertising is still quite significant and important for marketers. With the move from third-party cookie world into kind of first-party and zero-party cookies, I still find that advertising is not that. On the contrary, I think if anything, we now need to be super smart how we help marketers to be successful, be relevant, and be efficient and effective with their spend on advertising. When we started advertising, the tool that we designed was Advertising Studio. It was meant to address few problems, and when we were discussing it like ages ago when the product first initially started, to me, as a technical person, I was trying to understand like what is the value that we provide for customers when we sort of have that ability to publish advertising audiences directly into different layers like Facebook maybe or Google. And I found that in the marketing operation world, there's a lot of time spent, and I mean, besides the security aspect of that, the correctness aspect of that, it's a lot of time spent on just building up sort of audiences and then publishing them across different platforms. The tool is designed to automate that workflow. I find that that's one of the easiest tools to learn in Marketing Cloud today. Probably, I might be, it might be very subjective, but within half a day, like anyone can learn how to operate with the tool, how to connect it to, whatever social channel you might be looking into, and then publish out an audience and start looking into how can you advertise across that particular channel. So it's a very easy tool to use. It's integrated into customer journeys. It's integrated within the platform, so you can use particular audiences and use them as a source to define like a lookalikes and so forth. So it's a really, really useful tool to use. It does have an opportunity to think and take beyond just marketing, because we're using customer data platform, or maybe we're using CRM as a source, like Sales and Service Cloud data points that we want to bring into the audience selection, and then security and scalability. I feel it's a really important factor. Once I work with few teams who've done a lot of advertising, and the amount of time we save for them when they go and publish, 15 different audiences on a daily basis across, let's say, 5 different platforms. When you do it manually, it's a very time-consuming process. But besides the time, these days you need to be very cautious about security and privacy, and therefore, when we do that, we want to make sure that the actual clean data, is never leaving the platform. It has to go in the secure fashion, and we want to make sure that we support that. And that's what the platform effectively provides an opportunity for us to do. All right, so messaging, we sort of start talking about the different channels. There's an interesting tool that is called distributed marketing, and you may or may not know about or come to learn about that a lot, but it's one of the things to keep in mind if you're ever working in the distributed marketing organizations, where you've got sort of big corporate marketing, and then you've got branch marketing, local marketing teams that not necessarily sitting in the same office. That tools enables a lot of really useful outcomes for these types of teams, where we kind of like using the singular platform to do the entire conversation, communication. The headquarters usually kind of do the leadership in terms of defining the design, defining the experiences, and then providing opportunity for local marketing teams to reuse that in a sense, but still sort of run these conversations when they reach out to people in a more sort of informal way. And I guess make it, it's almost like feeling like your sales manager if you go for, and a very good example of these use cases or applications, let's say, would be automotive industry, where the dealership would be, setting up, they're not centralized, every dealership is different. They run as their own small mini businesses, but they are still have to be compliant with corporate marketing, style and format and branding and so forth. So in these cases, that's where people would be looking into say, okay, we want corporate team to define what the experience and look and feel would look like. They do all the brand guidelines, all the recommendations, how the messaging should be structured. And then local brands, like local branches, would actually be executing the conversation. So if you go up and look up for a new car, you talk to someone at the dealership, and then they would send you a message. It would feel like the person essentially sending the message to you, but you'd be surprised because a lot of these interactions would be managed through the platform, and that's what the tool kind of brings up. All right. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is automation. One of the things that, and we not necessarily highlight a lot when we talk about products and we talk about portfolio of, different suites. You've got like mobile opportunity to send mobile messages. You've got email studio to send emails. You've got different other tools on the background. But what I find really empowering in the last few years, we've done so much investment into machine learning and optimizing the way that marketers use platform for sort of sending out and what I sometimes refer to as like operational and tactical sort of intelligence. And what I mean by that is being able to understand, what we do within the platform without being a data scientist. You want to be able to rely on the platform, provide you insights for some of the tactical operational decisions that you make, and at the same time, potentially do some work for you. I mean, isn't that the reason why we invented artificial intelligence in the first place? So starting with send time optimization, it's one of the features that is providing an opportunity for the platform to make a decision at what time during the day and maybe day of the week to send a message to the end person. So let's say we're initiating the campaign and we sending an offer to say 10,000 people at any given time. And then when people start sort of reacting, responding further down the chain, there could be a specific option to say, we want to reach out to the person through, first of all, their specific channel. So some people prefer SMS, others would prefer email. The third group would prefer maybe push notifications. And then time of the day is different. So the system analyzes the responses in the historical time and then makes a decision what makes sense or when does it make sense to send the message to every individual. And it does, it's not stale data set, it's effectively progressively looking through and learning with every single send, every single response, more and more and more and more. So it becomes really good with time, and it does support a lot of lift in the engagement altogether with the messaging. The scoring, the engagement scoring is ability to understand how likely people will be able to do certain things. So we look into having an audience, let's say 2 million people in the database, and very common ask, especially in some of the campaigns that are designed to sort of, more or less explore the audiences, to say, what's the likelihood of people to engage through mobile channel versus email channel? That's one of the things. Now, what's the likelihood of person to unsubscribe from the communication if we send it within the next week or so? Like, these are the different types of queries that you face when you're working in the marketing sort of environment, and you get asked these type of questions by marketers who require you to be able to, for example, orchestrate the campaign send. So that's quite often helps to understand without, as I said, writing up a lot of sort of technical and data related queries. The system exposes the data points for you, so it's much easier to build up and run your campaigns. The engagement frequency is another significant component that sort of built up, and it was a feature that was really asked for by a lot of marketers, mainly because we do have that saturated, oversaturated, undersaturated terms, essentially saying, and if you think about that as yourself, as a customer, if you look at your inbox and you look into some of the emails that are coming up, let's say from a particular brand, do you see one message every week, one message every few days, one message once a month? Like, that's what the frequency is about. It's really making sure that we're finding that the right balance between over communicating and under communicating with the audience, and giving them an opportunity to sort of, as a brand, we want to stay top of mind, right? So we want to help our customers to be able to reach out their audiences, their consumers, and stay relevant to them, but stay top of mind. So when someone goes up and looks for a particular service offering, that's the first brand that pops up. And this feature provides an opportunity to adjust it and sort of fine tune it to the best number of communications that we send. Now, as I said before, remember I was talking about the ability to type as a chat GPT and say, hey, can you create an email for me? So we've got a few features, as I said, that sort of take us closer to that space. Recommendations is the first point. It's really designed to support e-commerce experiences and sort of augment them. If you are the customer, or your customers are having a product and they want to be able to recommend specific products to their consumers, that's what the recommendations would be. Essentially, the system builds up the knowledge and notion of what products are in sort of existing catalog and how they are interrelate to each other, and what sort of recommendations it would be making sense to provide for customers who've been looking or buying or exploring into certain other product offerings. It's an easy to add component into conversations on the web or on the email, and it does certainly provide ability to enhance and kind of personalize that experience for an end recipient. But next level up is content selection. So this is really where we're not talking about just product offerings. We're actually talking about a combination and designing, like, here's a number of different variations of the content, and we want to get platform to think about, I've got the big audience with a good big number of different personalized components. If you think about creating like a messaging matrix yourself, it can actually be very exhaustive in terms of A, designing that, B, building it out, C, testing it out, and then getting approval before you go into deploy. It's all about time. So if you have, as a marketing team, you have a great campaign and you've got a lot of really good content that you want to take advantage of, but you don't really have that ability to manage the, like almost like hardcore rules to say that person should receive these, that person should receive that, you can rely on the tools to provide recommendations for which particular content should be sent to which particular customer. Again, it's all about optimizing time invested into building up big campaigns and deploying them, and therefore that is an opportunity to think about, how do we connect the metadata about the content and resources and effectively let the platform make a choice what makes sense to send and execute. And extending that, you've got copy insights, ability to understand the language that we use when we send the conversations, communications across the emails. This is specifically designed for subject lines, understand what words we use, what voice and tone, and how these are likely to impact the sentiment of the recipient. I don't know about you, like I personally read and work with the email in a very specific way. I read subject lines and I look at the sender, and the combination of two helps me to understand, should I open an email right now? Should I look at it a bit later? And then should I even look at it at all? Like that's kind of like my scan through, because I do have a lot of emails on any given day, and I'm not too concerned if I do leave some of them unopened, but I do have a sort of a method and a way to work with it. But yeah, subject to me is important. And if I look at the marketing conversations, it's a very similar thing, because when I look into my personal inbox, I kind of look at, okay, I've got the brand, I see what the subject line is. And if it doesn't prompt me, if it doesn't excite me, if it doesn't hook me up on something that just goes, oh, interesting, what do you mean by that? Then there's a very high chance that I will just simply delete it if I'm not on the specific lookup right now. So that helps to optimize the experience a lot. And then similar to that, we're looking into messaging insights in terms of understanding how long does it take to send messages. If we're looking into responses, like people start opening, responding to them, clicking through the links and so forth. And if there is a change, the system will inform and notify you. So when you, in the tactical operations team, you essentially look for these insights almost like proactively. You're trying to go up and say, okay, so we just send an email. 1 hour in, you look into like, what's the response rate? Or maybe 30 minutes in or 10 minutes in. So depending on, your organization, your needs, your asks, you can be looking into different timings. But the insights here provide an opportunity to kind of figure out and say, hey, hold on a second, there was a bit of a difference. Let's say we've got an automated message, like a welcome program, and all of a sudden there's a drop in the audience engagement or something like that. You'll be immediately notified once the system determines that. So helps with a lot of transactional reporting. And then similar to that, there is an advanced level of reporting that really goes up into the Marketing Cloud Intelligence and sort of provides even more deeper insights into performance of the activities and so forth. One big thing I do feel strongly about, and I'd love to mention it, is that we certainly are concerned about ethics and transparency. And artificial intelligence and machine learning is a very intricate topic in a way. And what I mean personally for me, what it means is different people will take it differently. There's looking into how do we produce the content without being biased to certain things. We respect different geographies, we respect different attributes of individuals. We know what can and should be used versus what shouldn't be used when we're making decisions and training models. So there's a lot of work that's happening within Salesforce, and it's broadly across the platform. It's not just marketing, but for marketing itself, it's important to know that we're not sort of discarding that. That's one point at the top of mind for us within the product. And when you think about how ethical an application of artificial intelligence in Marketing Cloud would be, we do certainly take it seriously. So you can explore more if you need to. We can help you up to give you some understanding around that. But we provide the ability for you to understand some of the data points, what makes it work and whatnot, and so forth. Therefore, rather, you should be able to use it safely without being concerned that you might get results that potentially can yield in a really, really detrimental experience for the brands and individuals as well. Okay, that's almost all the engagement data points. The Marketing Cloud account engagement is what used to be known as Pardot, and it is a slightly different tool, and I guess depending on the sort of the plan for the bootcamp, you may or may not necessarily face it a bit more. But if you're part of this user group, you probably have been experiencing Marketing Cloud account engagement or worked with that. But in essence, think of that as an extension of the overall toolkit, and it's really focused on I guess top of the funnel. I looked into that. It does provide, in my opinion, a great opportunity to kind of work with individuals. It's a bit more B2B oriented space, but it's not limited to B2B. Quite often I find that that's not a singular distinction. There are different ways of considering what you would use it for, but it's really sales augmentation, and it helps to extend sales motions, make them a bit more personalized, and kind of bring marketing directly into the frontline sales. You've got an opportunity to score people, the leads and prospects. You've got an opportunity to, again, build up somewhat like custom experiences through web, through emails. You've got content personalization. You've got a slightly different tool to orchestrate the experience itself. So it's not the journey builder that we use within the tool, but at the same time, there's a lot of similar experiences that you've got comparing to Marketing Cloud engagement, and therefore, I'm not going to focus on that too much, but it's just more bringing up to the full picture. So if you ever need to think about how do we sort of focus more on the pre-sale cycle and handle very personalized interactions, and like in one-to-one human-led interactions, sales-led interactions, that's probably the trigger words that you'd want to go and say, I wonder if it makes sense to consider account engagement versus just Marketing Cloud, and in order to help that. Okay, all of the steps nearly done, so we're coming up to the intelligence. And if you remember, I was saying one of the ways to think about intelligence, one of the reasons we need to kind of be mindful about that is the data that we have, and we bring into customer data platform, we bring it into Marketing Cloud, we start sending communications, we start reacting on different customer engagement experiences, and then campaign-wise, advertising-wise, there's a lot of the tactical reporting that sort of happens across different pieces of the platform and different pieces of outside of the platform. So, different platforms like, you got the Facebook advertising, you've got Google, place where you can go up and have a look into what potential experiences are. But bringing it all together is one of the big challenges for marketers. And importantly, it has to be done on time, it has to be done in a secure way, and it has to be done at scale. Essentially, if you've got the big organization, you want to be able to kind of do it in a very simplified way. And some of the challenges we've seen, like when you've got multiple geos, you've got multiple brands, sub-brands, business unit, different product lines, different catalogs, and then flick it into traditional marketing sort of world where taxonomy of everything you do is quite different. Audience targeting is one level of looking into data and attributes of individuals, but then you go and look into performance of campaigns. If you do advertising, if you do email marketing, if you do mobile marketing, if you doing something else, combining all of these together into a single holistic view to make sense, it's a pretty challenging task. So for us, what we looked into is, as I said, just bringing up all of these different data silos together. We want to be able to unify view of all of these marketing activities in a single space and place. We want to be able to get and gain real-time insights. So we won't kind of rely on the platform to tell what works, what doesn't, and if it makes sense. If there is 15 different campaigns that are running at any point in time, and if the platform can establish and determine that, hey, you're actually wasting resources here because the targeting doesn't seem to work, or it yields a very small result and response, how about we rechannel our investment into something else? So we want to make sure that this is sort of happening. And you can see that the benefits is bringing up the data silos, breaking down the team silos, and bringing it all together. And the right-hand side of that screen is really representative of what I was saying somewhat before, right? Like you've got different teams that operate at different level, and the responsibilities in the big organizations are spread out across the organization. So one division might not be aware of the other division and who is working on what. So if you need to have a bit more holistic view, that's exactly what the intelligence kind of brings up to the table. So we've got unified place and unified view of all the performances in a single central location. We bring all the data points together. It's a visual tool. Therefore, once the data makes it into the platform, we want to be able to use it for visualizing, for reporting, for insights, and really uncover any opportunity where brands can save costs, or really where they can reinforce the activities that they do. We see if something performs super well, there's no reason why we should stop at that level or stop altogether. We can kind of look into how can we extend that experience a bit more and take it beyond and so forth. So as a result of all of these things, we actually do provide ability to share that view across the entire company. So you can divide and conquer, and you can split out the views for what one team can see versus the other team could see, versus corporate marketing sees versus headquarters see. So there's plenty of ways to examine and visualize that sort of reporting layer and derive the insights of that. And therefore, it's really a cross-functional toolkit that we've got. Okay, so if you gonna summarize, if I want to summarize all the things that we talked about, if you start with data, if we look into the way that sort of marketing looks today, would be we kind of really kind of change the way that we think about how you start the implementations and what you do with the platform. So we start with unification. That's really all about data, bringing it together, different data sources, and that's where that customer data platform, powered by Genie, would be the tool to go. But at the same time, as you will go through the bootcamp, you'll learn more abilities of Marketing Cloud itself to handle data and define the data model and work with it for both segmentation and defining the personalized attributes and so forth. So a lot of these different tools have the different things, but the unification and bringing it into one single place is what really customer data platform brings up as a big, powerful outcome. And once we bring it together, it's important to remember that unification, the term that we use, it's really thinking about people behind the data points and being able to unify the data so that, if you want to see Vlad across different data points, you see Vlad, and then all the data that's connected and related to me and how I look into that. Once the data is in, we unified it, we can enrich it, so we can build some intelligence, we can combine different aggregations, kind of summarize with that, and then share it across different business units, and then start thinking about the experiences that we provide to the end customers. Therefore, personalization kicks in. It takes the data that we build up, design, takes the audiences, segments, and then start putting them into play. And the personalization, remember, it's combination between the data and the content. So it's really about, what do I know about Vlad? And then when Vlad comes up into the web store, or if Vlad comes up into the store, and we can maybe send a message on the mobile application, like what message would make sense to do. So it's a combination of the data and content. And then extending it further is engagement, where it's not just reactive, it's proactive as well. How do we reach out to people like Vlad? How do we send Vlad an email or SMS or push message, or talk on the WhatsApp or WeChat and whatnot? And then lastly is about understanding, the learning. Like marketing is about, I have a hypothesis, I've got an idea, I want to put it into play, we build it out, we execute that, and then we want to learn what worked, what didn't, What can we change? What can we optimize? So it's intelligence layer that really helps us to understand the result of what we've done and then bring it back into what actions should we take from it. And this is infinite circle. Like that, you start at one point or the other, but practically you kind of get into the point. We might go up, do analysis of the customer database when we do an implementation at the start. So we might start with a bit of learning, and then we go up and get into unification and so forth. In other cases, it would be completely, we start with, let's define the data model, but define the data points. We build up the model. We figure out what the audience would look like, what's the data dictionary looks like, and so forth, and then start engagement from that. So it's more about understanding that this is not a linear progression. It's just really a circle and cycle. And that's what marketing is all about. You'll see that once you start going through that, if it's not your domain, if it's not your current domain, but the reason why you're here is to effectively learn more about that, is you'll get to learn a bit how to handle the data, how to manage that, how to design efficient and effective data models, how to get into the content, how to combine it together to orchestrate the messaging, and then how to understand the impact and the results of what you've done. So that would be, I guess, the summary of all of that. And then before we get to the Q&A, few quick words around what you can do. I feel that the new, relatively new, the marketer career path that we have on Trailhead is a fantastic resource if you want to understand what marketers can do, like in terms of where they focus, what are the areas of application of interest, and it can help you to understand what part of the platform you might be drawn to at the start. So one thing I found is if you want to try to learn Marketing Cloud, again, coming up from my personal experience, I was a techie. So I came up and said, I want to know everything that is there to, to handle and learn about marketing from the technical standpoint of view. And honestly, it was quite easy. It's not hard because you get to the point of data, you get to the point of certain configurations within the platforms. It's all great. And I've done development before, so it wasn't really hard to learn something new. But what I start realizing with the time is I need to understand more. Like I needed to understand why we're doing different things and why we're doing it in certain ways. So that put me on the path to understand that there is a strategy component of marketing that is super important. Before we do anything else, if there is no strategy, then we're doing things for the sake of doing things. Everything we do in marketing has to be meaningful and aligned to the business needs, business requirements, business KPIs. So understanding how what you do in the platform relates back to business strategy, marketing strategy is important. And being able to kind of learn that is potentially one of the things that you go, how do I learn about that? What could be the strategy for email conversations? What could be the strategy for personalization? What could be the strategy for data management across the enterprise? They're different domains, but they all require, and they have that common thing, it's strategy. It's just more understanding how it's applied across the business. Then technical side sort of kicks in, then there's a practical side kicks in. If you're an operations team, if you're data management team, if you're in content development teams, they all have their different focus areas. I tried helping, and I put it in quotes, helping our peers who worked on the content to improve email, because the first time I looked at the email, it was like there's a lot of HTML code that looked like 20 years old. So here I am coming up from the web application development and hacking through the email. And then our campaign manager rushes to me and tells me, what are you doing, Vlad? Why did you change that whole email? And I said, come on, guys, this is like, 21st century. No one codes this stuff like that anymore. So I had to learn a lot about and learn to respect the work of email marketers who have to go through troubles of building. If you ever build up web application, you would know that cross-browser thing is a big thing. Still, I think it's still a big thing. But the cross-email client is much bigger thing. There's so many intricacies and fine-tuning. So I've said, I'm never working with the content. I'm not that guy. I'm not a creative person. I'm attracted to creative things, but I'm not the one who creates them. So therefore, I'm usually kind of was fitting into the places where it was like, how do I use the content and use it with data and connecting the dots together? So again, if you're one of the people who are more on creative side, there's plenty of things to learn about, plenty of things to focus on and figure out what particular role you might be doing and interested in. If you're more on the technical side, again, there's developer, as Guilda said, there are admins, there's architecture, there's integration, there's plenty of things that you can learn. And if you're more on like strategy, marketing sort of management, there are campaign managers who kind of look at the operations. They look into the cycle of how to get things done, how to do it in the most efficient way. Again, learn about all of these different options within the careers in the marketing career path. It's a great resource. At the very least, it should be a starting point to at least to kind of go and say, I feel like I'm sort of more inclined towards that. And then once you start growing and learning and getting through all of these different areas, you kind of start gravitating towards one tool, few tools, more tools, and then expanding your domain. And at that time, you would be familiar most likely with what other different roles are doing and how they interact with what you do. And that's sort of the extension of that marketing career path. Trailhead itself, I'm sure you will see plenty of references to Trailhead as you go through the bootcamp. They will support you with, your marketing learning, but beyond that, there's plenty of other interpersonal learning that you can do. So if you haven't used it, I'd be surprised, given the fact that we're in the Trailblazer community these days. But it's a great resource, and there's always something new to learn. So there are ways to look into the most recent marketing modules that are coming out on every release. So we can always find links for you to share if that's not something that is known. And then lastly, if you're part of our partner ecosystem, I do want to mention that Partner Learning Camp. If you haven't come across that, it would be interesting to know why not. But on the other side, if you did, you would know that there's plenty of great learning available there as well. So we supplement the Trailhead with additional, probably more like implementation oriented content that's designed for sort of technical experts, for consultant people. And it's not necessarily always easy to digest for sort of more general folks who are users of the platform. So I distinguish it's a bit more, and it's not correct distinction, but I tend to sort of, it's easier for me to explain. There's more content in the Partner Learning Camp for the reason that if you are not the user, if you're the person who's configuring the platform, if you doing something for your customers, for varieties of customers, there are certain things that you need to be aware of, and more practically, because you do want to mainly reach out. If you are on the customer side, if you're the product owner, if you're a user of the platform, it's a bit easier to go through Trailhead because you learn how to use the tools, and then you get into using your own solution that's already been configured. And all the extensions, all the augmentation that you do, they usually take a bit of time before you start doing them. So at some point in time, you'll get to learn more. And then we've got these fantastic opportunities like we won today. I always encourage people to take advantage of the community-led events, bootcamps, series, sessions. They're fantastic resources. There's so much commitment and investment done into all of them. In my probably a couple of years that I was part of these, I had a privilege to be part of a lot of these different activities, and I find them very fulfilling for me. But at the same time, I feel when people come and say, I'd like to learn marketing, where do I go? And one of the things that we do know is challenge is we don't have a marketing cloud learning environment. So when you join sessions like these, join bootcamps, there's usually someone who will do a walk through the platform. And the reason why I didn't do one today, we probably needed another few hours in order to go through all the things that I showed you through the slides. But practically, when you get into more dedicated sessions, you'll start kind of getting through platform components, platform tools. You get to see what they do, how they look like, and how to work with them. So definitely use these as an opportunity to learn and kind of build up your skills as much as you can. And on that, I'm going to stop and open up for questions or feedback.
Thank you, Vlad. Such a grateful session. And as much as you covered everything across the marketing cloud products and the suites and the resources as well, which really gives a lot of value addition as well. Most of the questions which is answerable by our internal folks, and there are a lot of chat is going on with Matt. Matt answers most of the questions. Guilda has jumped in and she has answered most of the questions. Much questions from our team, and of course we have a session 2 where I pretty sure we have plenty of questions, because the session 2 is how to start a career in marketing cloud. So Matt Cameron is going to start the session on Saturday 5:30 p.m. Singapore time. I'm pretty sure he has plenty of questions.
Excellent.
Matt already started gathering a lot of audience.
Yeah,
that's good. All right, so let me stop sharing that.
Thank you so much, Vlad, for all these insights, and we're very glad that you'll be part of our bootcamp. And we have one more session, especially on CDP for discovery. So really love to see you on the session as well. And thank you once again for your valuable time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Vlad. I'll share my screen again. Go through the next slides. So I'll go slide share. Yep. So thank you once again, team. So once again, I would like to publish the slide, the Q&A slide recordings. You can find all the sessions at the YouTube channel, and you can sign up for the future sessions as well. You can scan the QR codes for the relevant area of our resources. So the next thing is, and just now I had a chat with Guilda. So Guilda is providing us for every last session of every month. So one Trailblazer receives a Trailblazer hoodie via Session Quest. So this is something really a great opportunity for every Trailblazer that you can join our last session. Of course, join every session so that you'll learn something which is really good for your progressive career. And this is really a motivation for us. And thank you so much, Gilda, for providing us this. And please be joined for every last session of every month so that you'll receive a hoodie for one quiz winner. And we know today morning Gilda published in entire Twitter and marketing in LinkedIn and other social channels. Our marketing channel, the Marketing Champion program, has been started. So the enrollments have been opened up. So if you feel any of your Trailblazer active in the community or love sharing knowledge, loves helping other Trailblazers in their trial, want to make a global impact, so I would really love that everyone can submit their nominations. And these nominations is going to end up on Feb 17. So I'm going to provide you the link in the chat group. So, request everyone to take this opportunity and then nominate the best champion for providing a career guidance for across the marketing cloud area. Right. So the next thing is quiz. So I'll request Prashant to share his screen and then to run the quiz competition. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Funny. Yep. Okay. So hope you're able to see my screen. So I'm loading the game pin. So the moment you see the game pin, please log in to kahoot.it, or you can scan the QR code as well. Please use your real name so that it will be easy for us to identify you across the chat. So let me reshare my screen, guys. I'm sorry. Yep. Just a heads up, guys. So those who know me or attend my sessions, so people know me that I trick the questions a lot. So going forward as well, quiz will be a bit tricky. So read the question properly before you answer the question. I see 87 people. Out of 124. Okay. So Vivek, you will have to, log into, or you will have to go to this particular URL, kahoot.it. You can Google, so kahoot.it, and then you need to enter the game pin that you're seeing on the screen. 6517656 is the game key. Guys, we'll give you 2 to 3 more minutes. So please join. Yeah, you have the QR code as well. I can expand it if you want to scan it and okay, funny. Guys, I'm gonna log the session, so there will be no more entries. Okay. I don't see anybody else joining. Okay, let's start. So what are the three products or three of the products in the marketing cloud platform? So pick that particular option. Okay, perfect. So it's Email Studio, Mobile Studio, and Journey Builder. So let's go for the second question. See the leaderboard. John is on the top, Gaurav followed by, and Lakshman is on the third. So there are 5 more questions, so anything can happen. So fastest fingers as well again. Which product integrates Marketing Cloud with Sales Cloud and Service Cloud? Yes, it's Marketing Cloud Connect. So it's a product that will connect Marketing Cloud with Sales and Service Cloud. Let's see the leaderboard. John on the top again, followed by Gaurav, and third position is Prakash. Third question, guys. So, which product of Marketing Cloud Suite provides single actionable view of your customer?
Because it seems like your screen is not showing the
Is it funny?
No, I think it's
Okay. Customer data platform. Gaurav is on the top. Just go for. So Douglas has got a streak with 3 correct answers in a row. That's cool. Yeah. So fourth question, guys. Pick the Salesforce mascot for marketers. Very, very easy one. Make it right, guys, because Guilda is here. Funny, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, you can see your screen. Yeah, that's the internet issues, Prashant. Somebody have less bandwidth, which is quite.
Yes. Okay. So Hootie, no guys. Max is for MuleSoft. Okay, so Brandy is the one for Mascot of Marketing Cloud and marketers as well. So Gaurav is on the top now, followed by Prakash, and third is Vikas Sharma. Uh, 5 players hit the streak. Cool. Okay. Fifth question, guys. Dash makes Marketing Cloud email send queries, imports, and more happen automatically. Simple one. Vlad covered this during his session. Rec 41 Automation Studio. Wonderful. So there is complete change of the leaderboard. Lakshmi now tops, followed by Saurabh, then Meet. Okay. Last question, guys. Okay. So it's a bit tricky. So read the question properly before you answer. So Journey Builder cannot use the content and audiences you created in multiple marketing cloud studios. False. It's correct. You should be reading the question properly. Journey Builder cannot use. No, Journey Builder uses the content and audiences you created. You create them in during your multiple marketing cloud studios. So it's a false because I use the word cannot. Okay, let's see the leaderboard. Who's on the top? Kaushik is in the third place. Meet second. Lakshmi is on the top. Congratulations, Lakshmi. Followed by fourth position is Gaurav and fifth is Bhushan, I guess. That's it, guys. So Lakshmi, please reach out to either of us, Funny or me or Vishal or Abhishek. So please reach out to us.
Thank you everyone for joining with us today, kickoff session. Thank you all the leaders and speakers. Really thankful for joining with us tonight. And see you at the next session, how to start career in marketing cloud and the resources to learn on Saturday, coming Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Singapore time. So our very own Matt Cameron. And he has plenty of questions already has been placed by all the attendees. So please join with us and then you can learn something more. So that this is a really good important session to start your career with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Thank you so much for joining and thank you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Guilda, for staying with us all through the session as well.
Thanks, lad. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, lad, for your insights and wonderful session.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Abhishek.
Bye.
Here. Already can, I'll stop.